Because all they want to talk about is how to get the man. Why isn't he calling me back? Like, nobody cares, Ash. You might as well quit because nobody cares. Yo, party people, it's Ashley of SingleWomanChronicles.com, where being single is a beautiful choice rather than a miserable circumstance. And you guys, Happy New Year! Merry Christmas! Happy whatever month it is. So excited to be back with you guys. Today's episode, of course, is sponsored by my book, How to X Your Ex, a guide to getting past unhealthy relationships. It's time to end the agonizing cycle of unhealthy relationships. Most people struggle with breakups because they just don't know how to start the healing process. How to X Your Ex is a step-by-step guide on moving past unhealthy relationships. Renew your strength and find happiness by walking away from relationships that no longer serve you. 2023, we walking away on site. First red flags, we gone, pew, okay? Learn how to stop the overwhelming thoughts of your ex, get rid of the feelings of regret and shame, eliminate the crushing feeling of rejection, be at peace with your decision to leave, and be hopeful that there's better out there for you. Get the book today. It is on Amazon, books on Google Play, Apple Books, and on Audible. Get it right now, okay? Right now. And if you don't need no ex because you in a happy relationship, because I hope you are, get it for your friend. That friend that's always calling you like, oh my God, I don't know how to leave. Tell them it's a book that can tell you how to leave. It's going to lead you through it. Hallelujah. It's freedom. We're giving deliverance all 2023. All right. I'm so excited. Also wanted to mention before I jump into today's topic that, the last week of December of 2022 was a very emotional week. I had a lot going on internally. A lot of it probably had to do with the fact that my cycle was coming. And my week is the week before my hell week, where I'm emotional. I'm all over the place. I'm crying. I'm sad, just out of nowhere. It's just weird. But I also felt like it was like a spiritual breakthrough moment for me, where me and God got down to the nitty gritty, and I got to understand David in Psalms more, how he could literally start a chapter off praying to God, saying, God, I love you. God, you're amazing. But then by the end of that chapter, in the beginning of the chapter, he's complaining like, God, how long? I hate it here. This is stupid. It's very, very ghetto. But then by the end of that chapter, he's like, God, I praise you. I love you. And I'm finally there. Like, I'm finally at the place with God where it's like, though you slay me, yet will I trust you. That's from Job. So, yeah. But anyway, I just started reflecting on my blog and just the length of it, because I've had a blog since 2015. That's when I launched Single Woman Chronicles. And a lot of this episode has to do with that reflection too. But I realized that Chronicles means stories. And I have a lot of stories. Like, I literally had a situation happen over the weekend that I can add to the chronicling of my single life. But I'm like, girl, why don't you do story time? People love a good story time. So starting on Thursday, I gotta remember what time, but it's going to be dropping on Thursday on YouTube and on whatever streaming platform, either Apple or YouTube. Not YouTube, chat. Either Apple or Spotify. I'm going to be doing story times, and I'm going to start this Thursday talking about my first love, my first sexual partner, and how he cheated on me and his family helped. So tune in for that. You're going to want to get your popcorn ready, because child, it was a doozy. And hopefully, I don't even think it'll be like super long, but we'll try. But I feel like opening up about the chronicling that, there we go, of my love life will help people be hopeful, because I've come such a long way. I'm going to be talking about stories where it was me, I was the drama, other stories where it was them, they were the drama, and stories where it was actually happy. Like, I had happy moments in my love life. It wasn't always bad. So I'm excited about it. Tune in on Thursdays, and we're going to get it popping. All right, y'all know I do a horrible job at self-promotion, but I'm going to start doing better with letting you guys know. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please, even if you listen on Spotify and on Apple, because that's where most of my um podcast listens come from. Yeah, but go over to YouTube and listen. And if you just want background noise, just play it, because I'm trying to hit the required amount of view hours to be monetized. Because listen, I'm telling y'all something about YouTube. They keep on moving the starting line. They keep moving it. But go subscribe, but also subscribe, turn on the bell notifications, so every time I drop, y'all already know that it's about to drop. And trust me, with these stories times about to drop every Thursday, y'all gonna understand why I'm an author, why I was called to write books, because I stay having a story. I'm like, God, I really be in my life looking like, what are these cameras? Because ain't no way this is not for TV. Like, ain't no way. Also, shout out to me and my consistency. I don't know if y'all can tell because my face is smaller. I am 10 pounds down and counting. I probably could be 15 pounds down, but the month of December is a struggle. But I was able to maintain my fitness routine, staying in the gym, because consistency, I'm telling y'all, consistency is the sauce. Consistency is the cheat code to it all. I was able to maintain my consistency in the gym. I have not missed a day of my 4 times a week since November, and it shows. But yeah, this month I got to get back on my eating regimen and stop playing, because I've been drinking too many calories. I've been snacking more than usual, and not my healthy snacks. But yeah. So today I want to talk about how I have been running from my calling, and I feel like this is going to help somebody else, because I'm sure I'm not the only one who run from their calling, because we have a whole book of the Bible about Jonah and how he literally ran from his calling. So, as I mentioned before, I've been blogging since 2015. And when I started my blog, like, I was so different. So 2015, that was freaking 8 years ago. So 8 years ago, I was like 25, 24, 25. Oh my God. So around the time when I started my blog, like, I had low self-worth. I wanted to say low self-esteem, but I don't even think my esteem was low, because in certain parts of my life, I was confident. So like, I've always been a hustler, making money and stuff like that. Like, I've always been the girl doing multiple things. Like, I've always been, like, right. It's only been popular in the last few years about the whole multiple streams of income and folks trying to shove that down your throat. I've been doing that since high school. So I've always been the girl that's kind of had my hands in like a little bit of everything. So I was always confident in myself and my ability to be successful in a career or in my work life, but I was always insecure in the area of dating and relationships, because I hadn't been chosen at the level that I wanted to be chosen in dating. And that's a whole nother story for another day, a whole nother podcast, honey. When you're not chosen, like, just coping with that, right? And so I had low self-worth, and also I was always single, and I felt like, Jesus, what am I doing wrong? Because I'm attractive, I'm a hustler, I'm funny, like, what's going on? So I began my blog because I felt like there was a community of women out there dealing with the same thing and going through these crazy, wacky stories, right? So when I began, it was more so, and mind you, this was BC me. I always say BC me, before Christ me, before the growth, before I knew what I was actually called to do, because at this time, I didn't even go to church. So it was just me out here. So that's when I used to cuss like a sailor. I was going out a lot. This is around my sexual addiction. Like, so I just got a lot going on, right? So I started the blog. I had no clue what I was doing. Absolutely no clue. I'm like, I'm just going to blog. I'm just going to write, and that's just going to be what it is. I'm going to write. God put it in my heart. It's going to blow up Chew8. It's yet to blow up Chew8. Now, I've had some growth, of course. I got, over 7,000 followers on Instagram. I have over 86,000 followers on TikTok. You lovely people listen to me every week, and I do not take it lightly, and that's why I keep showing up, because I love you guys and I thank you for showing up. I just hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. Anybody who is a content creator knows how hard it is to hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. So clap it up for me. Anyway, so yeah, I really didn't have a strategy. And also, let's be honest, culture shifts. Culture has different moments in time at all times, right? So around the time when I first started, culture was only listening to men about dating advice. So this is when Steve Harvey had just came out with Act Like a Lady, Think Like a Man. Then you had Stephen Speaks. He was like starting to get really popular. He's a super dope person. I reached out to him earlier, like on Twitter, and he gave me free game and free advice. So definitely he's a dope person. Derek Jackson was just coming on the scene. Tony Gaskin was just coming on the scene. So you had all these people, and I'm like a female, and nobody's really listening to women about dating. So what I noticed was like, most people didn't want to know the healing part of relationships, dating, being single. They only wanted to know, how do I get a man? How do I get him to call me back? Why is he not calling me back? Why isn't he responding to me? And for me, at that time, I didn't realize I was about to go into my wilderness season where God took me through healing to overcome issues with self-worth, issues with insecurity, issues with daddy issues, issues with anxious attachment. Like, I didn't know that. I'm pretty sure I wouldn't have started this blog if I knew. So it was just like, okay, I have this blog. I'm talking about my stories. I'm talking about healing and what the process that I'm going through, but nobody's listening to me. And I felt like throughout the years of my blog, I was always like reaching to touch this success, to touch something and get a grasp on it. I kind of felt like the dude in the commercial. He's like, almost had it. Got to be quicker than that when she's trying to grab for the money. I felt like, and sometimes still feel like, I'm just always constantly grabbing at that. So after a while, I just kind of quit. So I told you I started in 2015, around 2018-ish is when I went into like a depression, just because financially everything kind of fell apart. Not kind of, everything did fall apart, child. And then I felt like God was ignoring me. The blog wasn't doing much. Like, it just wasn't. It was still just like this. And again, I still felt like the culture only wanted to talk about how to get a man. They didn't want to talk about healing. And I'm like, God, I get that you taking me through healing. I get that throughout the time that I've had my blog, not only have I published books about getting over your ex, published books that subliminally talk about just the experience of dating, which is my book, Single Woman Chronicles. And also, I've gotten my master's in positive psychology, so I understand the psychology behind it. I've tried to build a course on gaining self-worth and how to increase self-worth, but don't nobody care. Because all they want to talk about is how to get the man. Why isn't he calling me back? Like, nobody cares, Ash. You might as well quit because nobody cares. So we talk about mental health a lot, but are you taking charge of your mental health journey? You already know I talk about going to therapy and how my therapist snatches my edges all the time. Asking me questions that I would have never thought to ask myself. Asking me questions that I've pondered on for years. But I want that for you. I want growth for you. I want the best version of yourself, because the only way to reach your goal, your potential, your destiny is to become the best version of yourself. And let that begin with therapy. So let's start with Talkspace. Talkspace has a promotion right now where you can get $100 off your first month. All you need is the code SPACE. Yes, SPACE, SPACE. Click the link in the description box to get Talkspace right now today. Let's start 2023 off right. We out here. I already told y'all we out here. So get it right now. Click the link wherever you're listening. Spotify, Apple, it's in the description box, even YouTube. Get it right now. $100 off. Like $100, that's a lot of money. Y'all better come get this. Come get this therapy. Come get this therapy. So that's what I was feeling like. But every time I tried to quit, y'all, I swear to God, every time I've tried to quit Single Women Chronicles, the day I say I'm going to quit, I get an email, I get a text, I get a DM of somebody like, oh my God, I read your book, it changed my life. Oh my God, I read this blog, it changed my life. Oh my God, such and such, it changed my life. And I'm just like, oh, okay. My life ain't changed. But okay, I'm glad yours is. So, I feel like after like the depression, especially because financially I was in a bad space, I started chasing money and I stopped paying attention to what God was asking me to do with my blog. Because again, when I initially started this blog, it was really just to build a community of women who are single. And I know they're going through this BS. But as I grew, I realized that it was more, it was about more than that. It was about the fact that women, a lot of women out here, we're hurting. And nobody's talking about that because we're too busy putting bandages on bitter boy TikToks. And we're too busy getting called out so we can be accountable. But nobody understands the emotional plight that we deal with, being constantly taken for granted, taken advantage of, heartbroken, trying to keep loving and getting the same results. Like nobody's talking about, missing fathers, mommy issues, daddy. Nobody's talking about that kind of stuff. Like no one's talking about the real in-depth piece of healing that goes on with a woman, especially a single woman, especially a woman who's been single for a long period of time and society's telling her there's something wrong with her. Nobody's talking about that. So I realized like there is a call, but for some reason nobody's listening. So I kind of just gave up because I'm like, I know what y'all need, but y'all don't want it. It's kind of like, don't save her. She don't want to be saved. So I quit. So I started to kind of like veer away from a messaging of single women issues, because I'm like, they don't want me, God. They don't need me. Like they got Tony Gaskin, they got Derek Jackson, they got, these people who are awesome and, they're wonderful. I always knew that although these guys give great advice, I think they're great content creators. I don't know about Derek Jackson, but you know what? Honestly, this is just a sidebar. I don't think Derek Jackson's information was wrong, because who gives the best advice about cheaters? Cheaters. Like if you're someone who cheats, you can tell me you can tell me about the mind of a cheater. That's all I'm saying. But anyway, I don't like how he did his wife, but that's a story for another day. Anyway, back to what I was saying. So but I always felt like although they can tell women how to navigate these dating streets from a man's point of view, you can't sympathize or have the compassion for a woman and speak to her on a feelings level, because you're not a woman and you don't get how we process things emotionally. And that's the thing that I feel like I'm called to help with, because I can have all the ingredients to make something, but if I don't have the actual stove to cook it in, I'm still not going to be successful in making this dish. What I'm saying is, if I have all the correct ingredients on how to date, but the supply within me, like my heart is still broken, my mind still tells me that I'm not good enough, I can go out there and present and use all the tools, but I still feel like trash. I still feel horrible about myself. So I'm still not going to attract the guy that I really want. So I think that's the issue. So I've always been the type of person, like, I don't want to just fix the surface. I want to fix underneath. And so I've always known this about myself. I've always known this about my calling, but I veered away a lot and I ran because I'm like, ain't no money over there. Ain't no success over there. Like I've been writing, I've been breaking my back for years on this blog and I'm not really reaping any benefits, guys. So I don't really know what you want from me. So for the last few years, I've kind of been just putting my hands a little bit everywhere. And if you've been following me for a minute, you kind of see like, Oh, okay, she doesn't talk about the dating and whatever as much as she used to. That's why. But over the last week of December, God kind of had to like snatch me together because I posted this random TikTok video and it just really came out of nowhere. So I posted a video and I was just saying like, "Hey, ladies, if you feel like you're the woman who's never been chosen, stop telling yourself that. Like literally, stop telling yourself I'm never the one chosen, because when you say that, that becomes true. So you have to switch how you think, because how you think will become your reality, right? And I felt like that was an important message because I felt like that before. Like for a long time, I felt like I was never the one that got chosen. So I never was the one who got chosen, right? And I got so many likes on it. I got so many women saying thank you. And I'm looking at these women's profiles, and these women are gorgeous. Like, these are beautiful women. And I'm like, wow, y'all need me. Y'all need me. And I realized that, you know, if you read the book of Esther, Esther's whole life was the theme of Esther's life was for such a time as this, meaning that she became queen literally for such a time as that. So I feel like I'm finally reaching my for such a time as this moment where women are listening now. People are finally listening, because right now, of course, mental health is a big thing and it's becoming important finally, because for a long time it wasn't. And so now, because it's finally becoming important, people are thinking about self-worth. People are thinking about self-esteem. People are thinking about like, how can I make my life better mentally and emotionally, and realizing how important it is, because you need all the ingredients plus you need the supply in order to make whatever. You know what I mean? You can't just have the ingredients. You also need the tools to make it successful as well. Like, they go hand in hand. So I realized, like, when I posted that video and I got so many views and responses and all of that, like, I had the sauce all along. It just wasn't my time. Like, you know, Galatians 6:9, you know, I've mentioned this before. It says, you know, for do not grow weary of doing what is right, for at the proper time you will reap a harvest if you don't give up. I'm just feeling like 2023 finally my time, but at the same time, like, I still have to position myself and create a strategy and continue to fight. So I'm going back and I'm pulling out content that I've had on my blog for years, because I've had the blog for years, and I'm just repurposing content and just getting that spark back for where, like, the reason I kind of started the blog, like, to build community. So that's where I'm going. And I feel like I've been running from my calling just because of disappointment, because of hurt, because of expectation. Being disappointed is basically when your expectations are not met. So I expected my blog to be bigger by now, but it hadn't. So that's why I was kind of running from it and was like, man, F this, I don't want to do this. I want to shift here, go there. Don't nobody want to talk about, hear about relationship advice from me, blah, blah, blah. But I'm realizing, like, no, they do. You just need to, one, be clear about what you're going to talk about, but also be confident in your voice and understand that it just wasn't your time then, but it's your time now. So, yeah, I just want to encourage somebody who listening right now. I get it. Like, when you're on social media and you're really scrolling, it feels like everybody's life is moving quicker than yours. It feels like their success is better than yours. It's faster than yours. It's overnight. A lot of these fools be lying, because, you know, you be just for me on my side, because I watch a lot of like tutorials for growth of the blog and SEO and just different things like that. So every other video is how I made $5,000 in a weekend, how I made $10,000 in a month, how I made, and you're just like, what am I doing wrong? Somebody gotta be lying. Y'all lying. Somebody lying. Not saying that can't happen, but this many people, what are y'all lying? But I said all that to say, your grind isn't in vain. It's just preparation. Even in my journal that I recently released, Get Unstuck When Life Sucks, like, we have to understand that listen, our time is not God's time. And in though that season where he's pruning you and he's cutting off the branches that don't bear fruit, and he is even pruning the branches so they can bear more fruit. um it's a hard season, but it's necessary. And I always get inspired by people like Tabitha Brown. Man, I love that lady because her success was not overnight, even though it seemed like it. She was grinding for years, years feeling unseen, but God waited for such a time as that. Even Yvonne Orji, she was grinding for years, but God waited for such a time as that. So I hope that by the end of 2023, I'm declaring that 2023 will be the best year of my life. I believe that in my love life, in my financial life, in my career life, because not only am I using faith, they say faith without works is dead, but I'm also working. So I've already put my strategy down. Like, I done wrote it down. I have a prayer that I've been praying to God every single day since the new year, just what I want out of 2023. But I'm also making strategic moves for that. And I'm not focused so much on the numbers. I'm focused on the consistency, because even with my weight loss journey, like, I was so focused on, sometimes you can get so focused on the numbers and you start pivoting and changing and doing stuff too soon, when honestly, if you just stay consistent with one thing, one day you're gonna wake up and it's gonna be there. So that's my goal. So anyone who feels like they have something in their heart, they have a dream that either they've been working on or been wanting to work on, but you've kind of been running from it because maybe you had the thought like I had, nobody wants to hear from me, or this isn't my time, but just do it. And in your due season, it will arrive. And I'm speaking in faith because I'm still not there. But I feel like it because I feel clarity. Like, it's hard to keep pushing and striking when you're not clear, but I'm finally clear on it. So definitely going to be talking more about dating and relationships, because hey, the Single Women Chronicles and they need it. So yeah. Also, if you are in Atlanta, and on January the 26th, I am having a vision board party. It'll be at 7 p.m. at Fowling Warehouse, which is downtown Atlanta. And the tickets are only $20. This includes the free fouling, which is basically when you throw a football at bowling pins. It includes the supplies for your vision board. It includes one free wine ticket, and it includes your entry. And just getting to come out and fellowship with other women, put your vision down, because 2023, we out here. We out here. We out here. So until next time, tune in on Thursday for my story time. I'm ready. I'm excited. Bye, y'all.